Our chief guest this evening, President and Vice President of the National Chamber of Commerce, fellow judges, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. What I would like to do over the next 7 minutes, if I may, is to describe to you in brief the criteria that the judges used and the process that we followed in separating the winners from the non-winners tonight. The rationale for and the ideology of this award scheme, the National Business Excellence Awards, I think is well captured in the three key operative words: business, excellence, awards. Awards are rewards for business excellence. Excellence, the Oxford Dictionary defines, being very good at something. Business, however, is not about one thing. Business is multidimensional. It's many faceted. In fact, a clear and comprehensive definition of business directly relate to the 8 specific criteria that we used to evaluate your applications. To my mind, a business should have 5 specific dimensions. At the center of it all is what the business wants in a fundamental sense. What does it want? Its ownership structure, the markets it wants to enter, the scale and size of the operation, its vision and strategy, in short. Now that's at the heart of it, at the center. Now this vision, this strategy must quickly be translated into specific, measurable, tangible results that the organization wants to get. So picture the framework. Want at the center, get at this point. If you want to get the results that you want to achieve, then the next dimension is give. What is your value proposition? What are the products and services that you want to offer to the market? So want, get, give. Once you figure out your products and services and the value proposition, the next critical element of business is do. Your internal processes, operations, and activities that you want to carry out so that you can make your products and services available to the market. Want, get, do, and the next critical dimension is have. If you want to carry out these processes that I described, that I referred to, then what is your resource base that must be in place for you to carry out those processes? Your financial resource base, your human resource base, and your technical resource base. So if you look at this simple model, this can be defined variously, but this is the way in which I would like to conceptualize business. You will see that this little model directly relates to the 8 criteria that we had. From another perspective, the 8 criteria that we use to evaluate your applications can be divided into 2 broad sets. On the one hand, you have performance outcomes. And on the other, you have what I would like to call performance drivers. Drivers and outcomes. There was one critical performance outcome that we zeroed in on in evaluating applications. And that was business and financial results. That carried 30% of the total marks. So we looked at your top line, your income. We looked at your profit before tax and interest. We looked at EBIT. We looked at the growth that you achieved over a period of time. a number of factors which relate to financial and business results. Now that carried 30% of the marks, and that relates to the performance outcome. In terms of the performance drivers, there were in fact 3 sets of drivers. I call them do well drivers, do right drivers, and do good drivers. Let me very quickly tell you the criteria. In terms of do well criteria, there were 5 specific measures. We looked at global reach, the exports markets that you have entered into, the foreign exchange that you've earned. That is global reach. We looked at the technological investments that you've made over the last 2 years in particular. We looked at knowledge integration. What have you innovated? What's new in terms of products and processes? We looked at capacity building. What are your capital investments to build capacity to meet tomorrow's challenges? And fifthly, we looked at performance management. How do you manage your operations, your human resource management practices and principles? So these were the 5, if you like, do well drivers. We had one critical do right performance driver, and that was corporate governance. Were your operations transparent? What is your board structure? How often do you have board meetings? Do you have audit committees and REM committees and so on? A number of sub-criteria were looked at in looking at this do-right criterion. And the 8th criterion, what I call the do-good driver, was CSR, corporate social responsibility. So there you are. We had the outcome, business and financial results. In order to achieve these results, there were 3 sets of drivers: do well, do good, and do right. In terms of the process, we had a large number of applications, as Mr. Vijay Singh said, close upon 200, I believe. And these 200 applications were examined, evaluated through a software computer program. This program was comprehensive, designed particularly for the awards. For instance, if you look at business and financial results, there were 18 sub-criteria. So there was a team that looked at your application and then put the information into the computer program, and there was a score that came out. For each of the 8 criteria, we had this computer program running. The second stage of the evaluation process were the interviews. The 6-member panel had 88 interviews. I asked Devi a little while ago, how many interviews did we have? And fellow judges, do you remember having 88 interviews? I've been involved in a number of competitions of this nature, but I can tell you without any doubt that this is the most comprehensive and the most difficult. 88 interviews was tough, but we enjoyed the process nonetheless. Some pluses and minuses for you to take home. The number of highlights that we would like to put our finger on. It was heartening to see almost all the companies recording an increase in their top line, and more often than not, an increase in their bottom line. So organizational performance across the board has shown significant improvement, and that is something to salute. Secondly, in terms of capacity building, many companies are investing for tomorrow, and that again is very heartening to note. In terms of technology, in terms of human resource, there is a deliberate attempt to build capacity, a second plus. Thirdly, performance management. I think the practice of HRM has come of age in Sri Lanka. We found almost all the organizations doing the right things insofar as HR was concerned. Performance appraisals, reward schemes, all that was in place. Some were more robust than the others, but it was in place, and that is indeed heartening to note. And the 4th plus positive that I would like to identify is CSR. Almost all the companies do CSR, small or big companies. Corporate social responsibility, again, has become a part of the organizational ethos. That, again, is heartening to note. So 4 pluses. 3 negatives, if I may point out. The first negative is that many of the interviews and some applications did not do the obvious. And that is to show the panel of judges that there is a nexus, that there's a connection between the drivers and the outcomes. Many did not tell us, look, we excelled with regard to these 2 areas, and we did well with regard to the others. As a result of excelling in these 2 areas, these are the outcomes. So this driver outcome means end cause-effect relationship was not clearly established in your presentations. A second negative. Knowledge integration was a critical element of the evaluation process. And it's all about innovation. We did not see much evidence of innovation. It was more of the same thing. New products, new processes, and I think that's the need of the hour. A third negative, CSR. I do remember that I mentioned CSR as a positive, but there is a converse to this. Many of the CSR initiatives were merely philanthropic, charity. There was no continuity. They were ad hoc. But many organizations at the same time got it right. Your CSR initiatives must be strategic. Your CSR initiatives must be integrated with your business model. Otherwise, you can't sustain it. You do it for 1 year, perhaps 2 years, and then falls by the wayside. So your CSR must be brought in to the very DNA, the very ethos of the organization. Then you will see continuity in terms of CSR. But overall, the judges were extremely pleased with your performance. I think we got a good thing going for Sri Lankan industry. And therefore, in conclusion, let me salute and congratulate the winners who are here tonight. You've done extremely well. You've excelled. And as I said last year, let me also encourage and enthuse the non-winners who are here tonight, because you've done the only thing that matters in life. You embarked on that critical, vital, pivotal journey. The journey that takes you from good to great. Thank you.